We have with us on hot copy this morning, leading the vice presidential survey, Senate President Tito Sotto. Senator Sotto, good morning to you.
Good morning, Karen. Good morning to one and all. Salamat. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a guest again in your program.
All right. First of all, I want to thank you for being on the show. In case the internet fluctuates, I have to let the public know you're in a hospital right now, okay? Nothing serious, but for a family member. So in case something happens, that's where you are. All right? Okay.
Yes.
Now, you are leading in the vice presidential race, but this isn't the first. The first was the Pulse Asia survey, where you were 11 points ahead of President Duterte. The SWS survey, you are once again more than 10 points ahead of Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte. To what do you attribute this to?
Well, we could probably say being Senate President and the achievements of the Senate itself. We have been showing how independent we are. We are not anti-administration, but we are not pro-opposition. So perhaps the approval rating and the trust rating that the Senate is enjoying contributes to that, no? And I'm sure the records of the Senate and the records of yours truly reach the people, perhaps, you know. But then again, let me concur with what Professor Dindumanhit said. A survey at this point, at that particular point, is merely a snapshot of what is in the minds of the people on that day, on that week, perhaps, or a week or two. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you should sit on your laurels or anything like that. I have been subscribing to surveys only because we want to use it as a guide. We use it in the Senate. I used it in the Dangerous Drugs Board. But just for the record, from 2004, no, below 2007 and before that, I didn't actually believe in surveys until I became Dangerous Drugs Board Chairman. And we conducted a household survey for a DILG and household survey for how many drug dependents we have in the country during that time, 2008. After I was briefed, that was then I realized that the surveys could be used really as a very good guide. It will give you a sense of what people think, what people say at that very moment or for any particular issue. And not just people, it's very elaborate on demographics, gender, religion, age, and college graduates or high school or unemployed, employed. It'll give you a very good vision or perspective of what the people and how the country is thinking or what the country or what the people are saying. So from that time on, I started subscribing every now and then just to get the pulse and see how people are thinking and saying and what they're saying.
Tito Sen, were you surprised, frankly speaking, that Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte chose to run for vice president?
Yes, yes. We always thought that she would be running for the presidency, and also on the other hand, she has always been saying that she was not interested and was not going to run and filed for mayor. But nevertheless, I hope you don't mind, Karen. I just answered that particular question, but Senator Lacson and I have already entered into a pact saying that we will not talk about our other candidates who are vying for the same positions that we are. we would rather concentrate on what we stand for, our programs, our platforms that we offer to people, and not really discuss about the other candidates.
But I understand that. But there was a period in time where many thought that the Dutertes would be invincible. And yet, in 2 surveys, you have clearly shown that they are not. So it's quite surprising to many. Your lead isn't by 2% or 3%. We are talking about more than a 10 to 11, even 12% lead, I think, on this latest one, even bigger. So when I ask you, what do you attribute this to? Now that she's declared, how will this change your strategy, or will it?
No, we will still go on with what we're doing. We are in it's very difficult to describe in English, but in Tagalog, what our group is doing, what our group is doing is naglalatag kami. Nakalatag. We have 3 major political parties in our group, and we are consolidating our forces. Naglalatag kami nationwide ng aming mga organizations. We have the Reforma Party, the chairman of which is Senator Lacson, and the president is Speaker Bebot Alvarez. And then we have the National Unity Party, which the chairman is Secretary Ronnie Puno, and the president is Congressman Barzaga. And then we have the Nationalist People's Coalition, of which I am chairman of. And again, also, we are consolidating the forces of NPC. It's difficult to easily consolidate now because of the pandemic. We just can't call for a national meeting. It has to be pockets of meetings and then virtual, kung minsan yung iba. But we are forming an alliance for clean, orderly, honest elections, but also a campaign for our candidates nationwide. Yun yung sinasabi nga namin, nakalatag. Kumbaga sa parang carpet bombing of these 3 political parties nationwide. That could also be a reason for the surveys. Sapagkat ang NPC alone, NPC alone, if you will recall, is always the second largest political party in the country since 1992. It has never been the biggest, but it has never lost candidates, to other parties. Right now, we have 1,800 incumbent officials. There are thousands that are not incumbent, but the incumbent officials, Congress pa lang, we have 54 congressmen. We have 8 governors. We have hundreds of mayors and vice mayors and councilors and board members. So you can imagine the strength of the political party we have. But then also, the National Unity Party is really something else. It is huge. And then the Reforma, if you try to get the sense of the provinces lately, Visayas, Mindanao, even up in Luzon, but in Visayas, Mindanao, it's very strong. You could have seen you would remember the 2019 elections in Mindanao and Visayas. The groups that were headed by Speaker Bebot Alvarez won most of the seats. So I can attribute that also as part of the surveys. Now, but then again, we're still in the stage of trying to form an official alliance between the 3 of us. As of now, it's an informal alliance that we have, but we have the same candidates that we are supporting.
So yesterday, I interviewed Senator Ping Lacson, and he says it shows that the administration is not as solid as people think. You agree with that?
Oh, yes. Of course, the administration will always be a formidable competition.
But they're
Always.
not as solid. But they're not as solid as people think.
Well, before perhaps, but because of the aggression of the members of the political party, the party in power, which is the PDP Laban, perhaps yun ang isang nakakabawas because fragmented at this point. I understand there were two wins, but now baka tatlo pa eh.
Okay. Now, given, I mean, that the surveys, of course, put you at number 1, but you have Sara Duterte at a far number 2. Would you consider her your most formidable opponent at this point, or you believe there might be a surprise later on?
Well, yes, and of course, you'll have to give it to the other candidates. They will all be campaigning. So everyone is a worthy candidate. I think all of those who have filed the certificates of candidacy are worthy candidates.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about Senator Kiko Pangilinan, and he said in an interview that he prays for healing. He hopes for healing in your family after he decided to run. Have you spoken to each other, Tito Sen?
No, we haven't. I've been busy with the budget, and we have never been together physically for quite a long time. And some of our colleagues, about 3 or 4 of our colleagues, have never attended physically the Senate since March of 2020. So there's no chance. There are very few of us. Well, not now. Many have started attending already, but at the start of the pandemic, the lockdown, and when we formulated Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2, there were probably only 3 or 4 of us who were physically present always. It was always me and Senator Lacson, and then we always see Senator Subiri, Joel Villanueva, and Senator Tolentino. And every now and then, Senator Pia Cayetano comes along. Bihira yung ano eh. Bihira kaming nakabuo
And I'm
ng
curious,
more than 10.
Tito Sen, I'm sorry to ask this, no, but I mean, Sharon has never asked you, or did they ask you before Senator Kiko decided to run?
No, they did not.
And how do you frankly feel about this?
How? Again,
How
sorry?
do you feel about this, Tito Sen?
Well, to each his own.
Yeah, but do you
that question would better be asked my wife and my children. They have a different perspective as far as I'm concerned.
How do they feel?
Sa akin, I brush it off.
Okay.
To them, it's a big deal.
Why is it a big deal to the family, to your wife and the kids?
I hope you don't mind, but you'd better ask them.
Okay. All right. Now, I wanted to ask you also, with this new development, does this mean, of course, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte filing, will Pasig City Mayor Tito Sotto, who is your nephew, will he be campaigning for you at one point?
Well, at one point, I think so.
Okay.
Although he has already, as far as the national politics is concerned, he does not. He has said that he does not want to participate with this party, with this within the national. Ang nakarating sa akin ganito. He said that he would not want to indulge or participate in the national politics of his political party because he has a relative running for a national post. That was his exact quotation. So you can already gauge it from that.
But at this point, given that the race will most likely change, would it be imperative for you that he does help you?
Oh yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course. We would wish to have all mayors, especially popular mayors and governors to support you as a candidate, always.
Okay. Now, what's interesting is your niece, Paulina Sotto, the daughter of Vic, your brother, is openly endorsing VP Lenny Robredo. Did you know that?
Well, to each his own. As I said, we have decided, Senator Lacson and I have decided not to discuss or talk about other candidates. So, kung sino man ang ini-endorse ng kahit sino, okay lang yun, because there are also other relatives of other candidates that are endorsing other candidates. So I think it's just it's part of politics. Ganun talaga.
It seems to me, listening to you, Tito Sen, that you really, I mean, you're not burdened by it. You don't really mind. I mean, it seems you've really brushed it off, literally. Senator Kiko running, who's a relative, maybe a niece supporting VP Lenny. So it doesn't bother you.
No, it doesn't. No, it does not. Does not at all. I would be bothered if it's Vic Soto or Joey De Leon.
Okay. Okay. But everybody else, you've accepted it, to each his own. Okay, that's a very good attitude. But let's talk about NPC common candidates. You just spoke about, you said a very interesting term that I like for politics. You said carpet bombing. Nobody's ever used that term. And it's a political strategy that, in effect, this carpet bombing strategy is a grassroots approach. And you said NPC is quite big and it's always been number 2. How will your NPC common candidates help out Senator Ping Lacson, who isn't doing too well in the surveys? Of course, he said it doesn't bother him. But you have the likes of Senator Chis Escudero, who's very popular, Senator Loren Legarda. You have so many NPC candidates that are quite popular, and they have bailiwicks, even the locals.
Yes, indeed. We have 6 NPC senatorial candidates, and we're working on coming up with as I said, an alliance with the others, with the rest.
Okay.
When we talk about when I mentioned about carpet bombing, we're also in the process of trying to eliminate any what do you call this? Any incident that happened to us, the same thing that happened to us in 2016, 2013, 2016, when NPC candidates forming an alliance with other political parties, then the other political party would field the candidate against our candidates.
So
anong klaseng alliance? It happens to us with the LP before. NPC, when we had that. So we'd rather not, unlike what's happening now, we're making sure that the NPC candidates nationwide will not have an opponent from NUP or Reforma. That's the same thing with them. Doon sa mga incumbent nila, equity of the incumbent ang iniisip namin. And then when it comes to the national candidates, like for example, Loren Legarda, Chis Escudero, Herbert Bautista, Sherwin Gatchalian, Manny Peñol, and J.V. Ejercito. These are the 6 NPC senatorial candidates in our slate. At the proper time, I'm sure they will be with us. They have expressed already. The reason that we name these candidates is
clearly they will carry you because you are chairman of NPC.
Yes, we have talked to them.
What about Senator Lacson? Kasi sabi ni Senator Lacson ito, ang hiningi lang daw niya, kung hindi siya ang i-endorso, kapag nandun sila sa ibang sortie, wag naman yun ang endorsohin, yung ibang presidential candidates.
Dapat kung hindi ka mag-i-endorse ng grupo mo, wag ka mag-i-endorse ng iba.
But do you agree, frankly, with this whole common candidate system?
Well, it boils down to the multi-party system, which was an error. No, forgive me. With
Yeah.
due respect to the framers of the Constitution, I respect them so much. But there is this particular error of I don't know if you could call it an error. Baka naman
Or a lapse.
using a
Hindi ka lapse.
too stern a word. Baka naman medyo nakaligtaan. No?
Lapse.
The
Yeah.
multi-party system in the Constitution, which should have been a two-party system, because they voted for a presidential. When they were voting between a parliamentary form and a presidential form, they voted, I think, with just one vote ng nagkatalong. They voted for a presidential form of government. When that happened, they did not go back to the multi-party system, which was already in one of the provisions. They should have gone back to that and changed it into a two-party system. So ito ngayon yung nangyayari. May multi-party system tayo ngayon. So marami-raming partido. Hindi tayo makabuo ng isang dosing slate na puro puro NPC lang. Unlike what happened in 1992. Kasi hindi pa talaga ramdam yung pagka-multi-party system. In 1992, when I first ran in the Senate, we had 24 LDP candidates, straight LDP. And talagang ano yun.
So should
and
there
also,
be changes?
Lakas also had a full slate of 24.
Yeah.
And then NPC had a full slate of 24. Dati ganun eh. Kasi tatlo lang yung major noon eh.
So Tito Sen, do you believe that at this point in time where you have senatorial candidates in 3 or 4 slates, do you think it's time to put a limit to it for there to be some changes in this?
No, there's nothing illegal about it. I have benefited from that before.
Okay.
When I ran in 2010, I ran as an independent, but there were 2 political groups that had me in their list. In 2016, the same thing happened. I was running in the ticket of Grace Poe. But the ticket of Vice President Bina included me in their list. I understand that, and what we're doing now is the same thing, because it's like endorsing somebody who you think would become a good senator.
Okay.
Who you think
all right.
would be, we're willing to endorse these names and these particular candidates because we know they will do good in the Senate.
Okay. Now, when it comes to electoral substitutions, many have said that it's become a mockery at this point. Do you believe that there should be revisions to the substitution rule? What would you revise?
Perhaps the third. There are 3 ways. To substitution. That's the third way. That's the third option.
Involuntary.
Tapos nilagyan kasi ng extension eh. Dapat yan, wala na yung extension. Di ba? Dapat talaga, you're prepared, you're ready to run for any particular position, mag-file ka. Pagka nagtidili-dali ka, nagkatagal-tagal ka, hindi ka sigurado. Di ba? You don't know what to do. I don't think the people would like leaders who are undecided. Hindi ba? Ganun eh. Siguro ganun yung thinking ko. So, anyway, we might be able to amend that. I don't know. Not anymore for this particular election. It's too late. But perhaps the new Congress would be able to tackle that. Or we might even be able to do that after we tackle the budget. And there are 2 or 3 bills filed eh. Baka sakali. They're in the back burner right now because of the budget, but we might be able to take to that and remove that option.
Okay, all right. So there is a possibility that it can be tackled. Just some issues, no? Let's start first with you courting more voters. How would you court the LGBTQ community, given that when the SOGI bill was being discussed, you had said No chance. Do you still
If
feel the same way, Tito Sen?
they did not complete the statement. If
Okay.
no chance, if we do not remove the provisions on religious freedom and educational freedom, and then LGBT community, I have many friends. As a matter of fact, I have many friends in the LGBT community who are endorsing my candidacy. Even in my group in show business, we have Paolo Ballesteros, Alan Kay, and so many others. And then my political leaders now in Cebu, in Iloilo, and in Pampanga, are members of the LGBT community. I don't see any problem with that. They understand me completely. I am not against a particular bill because of the title or what. I am for anti-discrimination, and I will. The only thing that we were questioning, is the issue of removing religious freedom and the issue of removing educational freedom.
Okay.
Yun.
Yeah. So you're
Parang
making.
yung sa RH nung araw.
Yeah, I was moving
they
there.
misunderstood me a lot because they did not realize that we were only trying to remove the provisions on abortion, which is illegal in the Constitution, and then population control, and then the abortifacients. That was all, but marami talagang naninira noon eh. Tsaka maraming fake news about me na kung ano-ano sinabi nila. Kaya maraming may akala na ganito, na ganyan. Maraming
Because, Tito Sen, it's good we're discussing this because you are known for your conservative stand in the Senate. In fact, you are backed up by a lot of conservative groups. I've read the groups yesterday, and they've thrown their support at you. So number one, let's clarify this. With the LGBTQ community, you are not anti-gay or anti-gay rights.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
But how would you then court women's groups who have supported the RH? Now it's a law, but during the time of debates, you were seen as a big block to the passage. How would you talk to them?
I was a big block to the government buying abortifacients. It's illegal. I was a big block for the smuggling of, we think then the International Planned Parenthood was trying to smuggle in abortion. I was a big block to the issue of population control, not only me, Senator Enrile and I. But the RH bill would not have passed if I did not agree. I was the majority leader. How can it pass? If we did not agree. So the Senator Pia Cayetano and I are in very good terms. She was yung ka-debate ko, sila ni Miriam, di ba? Remember? Miriam and Pia. And it was Miriam and Pia versus Sotto and Enrile. But we were particularly zeroing on that. Kaya lang, merong mga, alam ko yun, may mga international groups and you can check the history. Even in the Journal of the Senate, I have mentioned them time and again. Kung ano-ano nga binintang sa akin eh. Binibintangan ako ng plagiarism, binibintangan ako ng kung ano-ano. Pero they were just trying to skirt the issues that I was bringing up by trying to attack me personally or something like that. They made up fake news during that time. I had no problem with reproductive health. As a matter of fact, it passed. It could not have passed. The only way it passed was because we removed that. We removed the post-abortion facilities, the issue of abortifacients. It was removed. Okay naman kay Senator Cayetano and Senator Santiago. So, perhaps the women's groups know that for a fact now, but during that time they did.
Okay, all right. And just very quickly, because from the time you started your career, I was a witness to that. And from today, it's been many, many years, and you've changed your stand on many issues, and the death penalty is one of them, right? And even Senator Ping Lacson, you are no longer pro-death penalty.
Yes, yes. If I may, let me
quickly
discuss the context muna, para maganda maintindihan nila. Because there are some groups that are still pushing for the reimposition of the death penalty. When I was a vice mayor, I had difficulty with this grabe pusher sa Quezon City. We were 54% of the entire NCR on drug cases. When I left after 4 major concerns that I researched on and created in Quezon City, it was down to 9%. But when I went into the Senate, came into the Senate, I had the same mentality as Mayor Duterte, Mayor Rodrigo Duterte, because he was a local official, I was a local official, magkasama kami, magkakilala kami. 1988 pa, magkasama na kami on the same advocacy. I had the same mentality. Lintik itong mga itong mga drug pusher na to, dapat ito death penalty. Ganun yung mentality ko. All right? I filed the bill reimposing the death penalty. In 1992, after the Constitution, there was no death penalty. I filed the bill reimposing the death penalty for drug trafficking. Drug trafficking na in total, hindi yung high level lang na katulad ng iniisip ko ngayon. Then Boy Herrera and the other Senator Maceda included other crimes, plunder, ganyan. So we were able to pass the death penalty na ibalik, so it was reimposed. The debate took years. Senator Orly Mercado, who was majority leader then, always called it, pagtatawagin na niya, Mr. President, we call on Senate Bill blank, ang walang kamatayang death penalty. Kasi walang kamatayan ng debate namin.
But I think just to summarize, what made you change your mind today? Meaning at this point in your life?
Ito nga, because of those debates and the debates thereafter, until they removed it or they repealed it, pinakikinggan ko naman both sides eh. At napapakinggan ko, maraming tama. Marami rin tama yung sinasabi nila sa ayaw. Maraming tama yung sinasabi namin in favor. But later on, I upgraded to high-level drug trafficking lang. Because the other crimes, murderer ka. Pag nakulong ka, ay sino pa bang murderin mo ron? Di kayo na lang mag-murder doon. You can change. Saka wala ka nang mapapatay doon eh. Rapist ka, nakulong ka, baka ikaw ma-rape doon. Di ba? Okay na eh. Itong drug trafficking, ang problema, yung mga drug lord, pag nakulong na, nag-ooperate pa. That was my thinking. So they should evaporate from the face of the earth. Ganun yung thinking ko. But later on, I came up with a bill. I was able to formulate a bill that will remove them from the National Bilibid prisons. The Senate passed it already. It's now in the House of Representatives. It's a bill that establishes a national penitentiary for high-level drug traffickers and heinous criminals. Para na ring death penalty yun. It's a win-win. It's a win-win situation. It's a win-win bill. It's a win-win law. And also incorporated in that is creation of a regional national Bilibid prisons. Regional Bilibid prisons. Unlike what's happening now, lahat nakatambak sa Muntinlupa. Ang laki-laki ng property ng gobyerno doon, trilyon ng halaga, nasasayang.
No, so Tito Sen, I think the bigger picture actually is you said you were thinking like Mayor Duterte, of course, because you were coming from local government, but also when President Duterte came into office, you supported President Duterte in many of his programs to the point you were criticized as an enabler. And yet, you have recently called his drug war a failure. So that's a big shift from supporting the drug war of President Duterte to now saying it's a failure.
No, no. I never used the word failure.
Okay.
Perhaps other people said that. I never said it was a failure. What I said, it is not complete. We should do a holistic approach. I even told the president that. He knows that. We've talked about it. Remember, he was joking me. Sinasabi niya, ito si Sotto, holy ito. Oh, but he's a good man, di ba? Yun ang habol niya, remember? Because before that, we were talking about the holistic approach. You know, the government, to solve the problem of illegal drugs and drug abuse, you have to solve the problem of drug abuse. It cannot just be illegal drugs. And the current administration concentrated on the problem of illegal drugs, which is the supply reduction, which is enforcement and prosecution. There is much to be desired as far as prosecution is concerned, but enforcement, hindi ginawa. Ang dami nga, may mga bintang tuloy ng EJK. I never said it was a failure as far as that is concerned. I think what it lacks is the complete drug abuse demand reduction strategy, which I have, which is prevention and rehabilitation. That's what I said. I never used the word failure.
Do you find it ironic that considering the drug war is the president's landmark? I mean, it's essentially a pillar in his administration. The recent raid was a drug beach party or a party in Davao, his hometown, his bailiwick.
Yes, I've heard of that. And that's precisely what I'm saying. Why does it continue? Government is strong on enforcement and prosecution, perhaps. But why does it continue? Why are there smugglings? Why are there sabu laboratories? Why are there groups like that? Because we're not addressing the problem of drug abuse. The day we stop buying is the day they stop selling. I keep on repeating that. You have to address the problem of drug abuse. If there are no drug dependents, there will be no pushers. Because even if you kill
this
all
is like a
pushers,
chicken and egg situation. Okay. All right. We are going to talk about other issues. When we return, we're going to take a quick break. Senate President Tito Sotto.
Hindi ko lang makapalampas when you say chicken and egg situation dito, I don't think so. I've solved the problem of chicken and egg. What came first? I solved that already. And if you ask me, well, it depends on what you're having, if it's breakfast or dinner.
I wanted to ask you your thoughts. What do you make of it that the president clearly, or Malacanang, does not want to release the president's statement of assets, his statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or his SALN, and the ombudsman is also rejecting requests to release President Duterte's SALN. Is this against the law?
Well, I'd like to answer it by saying that as far as we're concerned, we have released our SALN. I think the people asking for it, the people should know. And we really have to pass the Freedom of Information Bill. We passed it in the Senate a couple of times already, if you will recall. Senator Grace Poe was the proponent. We passed it twice. Siguro with that, baka the next Congress may be able to tackle it para pwede nang. There is a process. I think the Ombudsman, I don't know about the Office of the President, but I think the Ombudsman is following the path what the Supreme Court is doing. Parang they have their own rules.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
The Ombudsman.
As far as we're concerned, the Senate, I have formulated, as Senate President, I have formulated a rule, and we have allowed anybody asking, you just write the Senate Secretariat, and we will give you the copy of the SALNs. As part of that, we gave it to the media.
Okay. So I don't want to talk about the Ombudsman's request because that will take a whole other show. But do you believe President Duterte should release his SALN already based on just the present laws?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, he's the president. The people expect transparency on their leaders, in their leaders.
Mm. And candidates, should this be a requirement? Another candidate, it was Senator Cheese Escudero. Governor Cheese said candidates should even agree to waivers. Do you agree with that?
Oo, yes. As a matter of fact, baka hindi na pansin ng iba. If you look at the SALN, that we signed, the local government officials signed, merong footnote doon sa baba. Yung footnote hindi nababasa ng isa. You are giving a waiver to the ombudsman or to the authority. Hindi ko lang matandaan yung exact wording, pero may waiver doon. May waiver doon na halos wala kami bank secrecy. So now the problem is, ito mahirap, Karen, if we will allow that particular provision, the Supreme Court will shoot it down. Because remember, in the Dangerous Drugs Act of Republic of 1965, I placed there a provision that all candidates must undergo drug testing. The Supreme Court shut it down and said it was unconstitutional because in the Constitution, it only says you have to be a Filipino citizen and know how to read and write. Wala daw sinabi rin na gano'n. So that will fall under that category. Pag sinabi natin na lahat ng kandidato kailangan mag-file ng SALN, if somebody questions that to Supreme Court, meron ng jurisprudence. The Supreme Court will call it unconstitutional. So it has to be voluntary, perhaps voluntary, or perhaps it's up to the candidates. So yung mga candidate na ayaw mag-submit na SALN, alam na natin, hindi dapat pagtiwalaan.
Pero that's quite interesting. Do you believe candidates should undergo a drug test? There are suspicions of some candidates that are drug users. So do you believe that should be a requirement?
Yes. As I said, I am the principal author of the Dangerous Drugs Laws of the 2002. And I incorporated that in the provision. Nabaril nga lang na Supreme Court. So what I do from that time up to now, every election, every time that I file, during the campaign period, I always undergo a drug test on my own, voluntary. Madalas, sinasamahan ako ni Senator Anasan o ni Senator Lacson. Sabay-sabay kami tatlo. Kuminsan, we go to either in Cebu, we did it in the Tito Sotto Memorial Hospital. Pero here in Manila, we do it with the PIDEA. Sa PIDEA kami nagpapadrug test.
Now, here's what's interesting is in a little bit of history is you actually wrote the historic song Magkaisa, which is recognizable. This was in 1986, recognizable as the EDSA People Power Revolution song, which has been used in several other occasions when there are big moments in history that Filipinos want to remember. But this was essentially written after the Marcoses were kicked out by that revolution.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I started writing it in February 2022. My recording studio, Tasha Recording
Studio. No, wait,
Studios,
let me finish the question.
Sige.
Just to get to the point, because I just have a few minutes left.
Sige.
And given that you played a role somewhat culturally, right, in EDSA, you have former Senator Bongbong Marcos leading the polls. Clearly, you made a stand by writing that song. Would you be able to work together if he does win?
I have not. That had not. Well, I can actually work with anyone, but it has not crossed my mind. Up to now, I'm thinking that Senator Lacson and I will make a very good team.
Okay. All right. we just have a few minutes to go, so I'm going to ask you, Malacanang is also claiming credit for the arrest of the Dargani siblings. Harry Roque said, at the end of the day, the airport's under the executive. Kung hindi dahil sa kanila, hindi rin nakalipad yun. What do you make of that?
Well, let him believe what he wants. Basta I know that the Sergeant at Arms, General Rene Samonte, used to be the head of the Philippine Air Force.
Mm, mm.
So
Okay.
he knows how to go how to go about it.
All right. One of the acts you'll be remembered for, I'm presuming by your colleagues, is as you leave the Senate, is you actually are taking the president's EO to the Supreme Court. That's one of your, not final acts, but one of the, right? And this could be perceived by the president as an act against him. Do you believe the president has gone overboard in ordering his cabinet officials not to attend the Senate hearings when even former President Arroyo did the same thing?
Well, I think he was irritated. He disliked what was happening. You know, but as far as we're concerned, we passed a resolution to that effect. And that is why I am representing the Senate. Together with the officers of the Senate, we're representing them in filing a petition for the Supreme Court to give their opinion. That is the sense of the petition, to give their opinion of whether that is correct or not, of whether that is constitutional or not. EO 464 before was again also I think was declared by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional. So we expect the same thing here.
Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about the budget with you, but I have to do that in another show. Just quickly, what would you consider as the biggest achievement and failure of this administration? But you have to say it in one sentence.
Wow. The biggest achievement? Perhaps the bill.
Okay. The biggest failure of the Duterte administration.
The delay in addressing the problem of the pandemic, perhaps.
All right. On that note, Senate President Tito Sotto, thank you for joining me today. Much appreciated. And we wish your family well, sir. I mean, we know you're in the hospital right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad you mentioned the family.
Yes.
It has always been my number one cause, the family, the Filipino family. Kaya kung minsan, if you will recall, just give me a few seconds.
Okay.
When I was being pilloried because of their misunderstanding of my positions on the death penalty or the RH bill or same-sex marriage, it is always because I support the religious positions of my family. That is my audience is I have only one audience, God.
All right. On that note, Senate President Tito Sotto, thank you and good luck with your campaign, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.